The rain hammered against the corrugated iron roof of warehouse number 7, a relentless percussion matching the pounding in Jack Harding's ribs. Demarco, pale and sweating, fidgeted under the harsh glare of the single bare ball. He's singing now, finally, the words tumbling out like confessions wrung from a drowning man. She paid me, Mr. Harding, a lot of money. Said Arthur was mixed up in something dangerous. Said he needed to be taken care of. Harding leaned closer, the scent of fear and shame thick in the air. Who, Demarco? Who paid you? Demarco shook his head, eyes darting around the warehouse as if expecting a phantom hand to reach out and drag him back into the shadows. I can't. They're powerful people. Harding grunted, already knowing the answer. Lila Monroe. It was always her. The fragile widow, the grieving client, the masterful puppeteer pulling the strings from the shadows. A photograph on his desk, the one marked not hers, suddenly made sense. It wasn't a lover, it was a co-conspirator. The woman in the picture of a younger Lila Monroe stood beside a man with eyes as cool and calculating as polished granite. The collector. Arthur was skimming, Demarco continued, his voice barely a whisper. Arthur thought he could play both sides. The collector didn't like that. The textiles, the elaborate shipping manifests, it was all a smokescreen for the real cargo of stolen antiquities. Egyptian statuettes, priceless artifacts ripped from their tombs and destined for some wealthy collector's vault. Arthur Monroe had been playing a dangerous game, and he's lost. The collector wanted the statuettes, but he didn't want Arthur anymore, Harding said, more a statement than a question. Demarco nodded, relief flooding his face as he finally unloaded the burden of his guilt. She was there, Mr. Harding. Lila. At the meeting. I didn't see much, just the back of her head, but she was there. Harding remembered the last conversation with Lila, the subtle warning, veiled in concern. Be careful, Mr. Harding. Some things are best left undisturbed. She knew he was getting close. Where is she now? Harding pressed, ignoring the wave of pain that sliced through his ribs. Europe, Demarco whispered. A steamer ship, bound for Marseilles. She has papers, a new name. She's disappeared. Harding felt a familiar wave of frustration. Lila Monroe was a ghost, the shadow flitting across continents, always one step ahead. He stood up, the warehouse spinning slightly. Bruno was supposed to make sure Arthur didn't talk, Demarco added, his voice trembling. He was thorough. Bruno, the collector's enforcer, a hulking brute with a face like granite and eyes that promised only pain. Harding had felt his fists, his brutal strength. He's lucky to be alive. Why are you telling me this, Demarco? Harding asked, his voice low and dangerous. Demarco looked up, his eyes filled with a mixture of fear and something akin to hope. I wanted to do the right thing, Mr. Harding. For Arthur. Harding didn't believe him, not entirely, but it was enough to lead him to the next piece of the puzzle. He left Demarco in the dimly lit warehouse, a broken man left to grapple with his conscience. The rain continued to fall, washing the grime and the secrets of the docks into the murky depths of the harbor. He headed for the collector's warehouse, a place he knew held the final piece of this twisted game. It was hidden in the industrial district, disguised as a lumber mill. Inside, the air was thick with the scent of old money and stolen history. The warehouse was vast and opulent, filled with crates of priceless artifacts. Egyptian sarcophagi stood alongside Roman busts, all illuminated by the soft glow of antique lamps. The collector was waiting for him, standing in the shadows, a glass of amber liquid swirling in his hand. Mr. Harding, the collector said, his voice smooth as silk. I was expecting you. Lila Monroe, Harding said, cutting straight to the point. The collector chuckled, a dry, humorless sound. A fascinating woman. We have a shared history, you see. A history of theft and murder, Harding countered. Sentimentality is a weakness, Mr. Harding, the collector said, taking a sip of his drink. Lila is simply pursuing her ambitions. Arthur, however, was a fool. He believed he could play us all. And you're protecting her, Harding said. And preserving a valuable asset, the collector corrected. Lila understands the importance of discretion, something Arthur clearly lacked. She framed Arthur, Harding accused. She sent Bruno after him. The collector shrugged, an expression of bored indifference on his face. Circumstances dictated a certain efficiency. And now she's gone, Harding said. Fled to Europe. A temporary relocation, the collector said, a hint of amusement in his voice. She will return. Eventually. Harding knew he was facing a man who operated on a different level, a man who controlled resources and influence that extended far beyond the reach of the police. He knew that bringing Lila Monroe to justice would be a long and arduous process, a battle fought on a playing field where the rules were twisted and the odds were stacked against him. But he also knew that he couldn't back down. He owed it to Arthur Monroe, to the victims of the collector's greed, and to his own sense of justice. He turned to leave, the collector watching him with cold, knowing eyes. "You haven't won, mister," Harding, the collector, said as Harding reached the door. "This is far from over." Harding didn't respond. He stepped out into the rain, the city lights blurring in the downpour. He had a plane to catch, the trail to follow, and a woman to find. The hunt had just begun.